one of the things that resonates with the Book of Five Rings, from martial artists to business practitioners, and if you look at this is what's crazy. This is a old, almost like early 80s, 1970s copy that you see around, and this is what dates it. It says, A Book of Five Rings, the classical guide to strategy. And then it says, Japan's answer to the Harvard MBA. And then Time Magazine comments. And this is more an issue of the book that was directed on the back. It says, like, business martial arts. It says, on Wall Street, when Masashi talks, people listen. Do you remember that? When E.F. Hutton or whatever, or we're like, that used to be a saying in the 80s, like, when so-and-so, I think it was E.F. Hutton talks, people listen. And, that just goes to show, like, this is like a 1980s version of this. And so Masashi resonates to a lot of people. And this is to say that Masashi's a legend. He's a duelist, undefeated samurai. And this section, the water section, lays out technical abilities, not just theory. But what resonates to people is that these techniques were all battle tested. And then on the end, he puts on like what you have to do. So, there's things in here that are, here's your stance, gaze and strategy, holding a long sword, 5 attitudes and whatnot. These are all technical advisements. But at the end, he gets down to some grit that is timeless. And in that, here's the practical. He says, study the contents of this book, taking one item at a time. And though fighting with enemies, you'll gradually come to know the principles of the way, step by step. So Masashi says, even a path of 1,000 miles is walked one step at a time. Then he adds, practice steadily, remembering that your duty, this is the duty of the warrior. Thinking today, I will defeat who I was yesterday, and tomorrow I will defeat the less skillful, and after that I will defeat the more skillful. And here's the final thing, and we've all heard this if you've studied Masashi and you've heard a different form of it. Forge yourself with 1,000 days of training and polish yourself with 10,000 days of practice. I did the math on that in prepping this. So 10,000 days comes out to 27 years, 0.397. And, we talk about 10,000 hours, right? That was the, investing 10,000 hours. And so like a couple times I looked at like, how much time have I spent in martial arts? 45-year martial artist. How many times did I spend in policing and government, military profession? So I got about 34, 35 years between those two entities. And, there was... still to this day, there's a lot for me to learn, even though I have that basis. But I know, for instance, I went and testified as an expert witness last week, and in a security case, and no one else knew. I was like, this is what the state law says. This is the training that you would receive. This is the process, and even from the lawyers to the judge, it was very obvious that I was the most knowledgeable person in the room. And communicating to a jury like a message of what we wanted them to understand as evidence. And that's what Masashi's talking about here, step by step, practice steadily, and then forge yourself through training. How is that not only important in martial arts training, but also important for the total development of a human being, a holistic. And I know you talk a lot about that with various guests and whatnot. It's just, it's about becoming a total person.